I never thought the moment would come like this. Sitting in a cold cell in the gray courthouse basement of U.S. District Court for the Northern District of Illinois, handcuffed, my future in the hands of a judge who just listened to my wife's testimony. She stood there, tears streaking down her cheeks, voice trembling. He always had anger issues. I was scared. And I watched the judge nod slowly, as if hearing the truth for the first time. Here's what happened before that moment. The summer I moved us into the suburb of Naperville, Illinois, I thought everything was finally stable. We'd bought the house. I had a job as an engineer at a manufacturing plant in nearby Aurora. The weekends were for barbecues and yard work. My wife, Natalia Marquez, had the role of stay-at-home partner and social organizer. She kept the guest list for the neighborhood block party, made sure the house was spotless, and smiled at guests like she owned the place. I thought I'd found someone dependable. But then the trouble started. It began with small things: cash missing from my wallet, extra credit card charges I didn't make, her calling in sick from doctor's appointments that never existed, things that seemed like annoyances but not alarm bells. I rationalized, we have a joint account. Maybe I just forgot, I have to work long hours. Life is messy. Then one evening I found a note in her handwriting. "Don't worry about what you heard," written in the tiny margin of one of her planners. I asked her about it. She said it was a reminder for herself. I brushed it off. The more I crossed things off, the less I trusted. But I kept going, because changing my mind meant tearing up the comfortable life we built. And I didn't want to admit it. Then came the criminal investigation. I woke at dawn one Thursday to armored vans outside our house in Naperville. Agents from the Federal Bureau of Investigation had trays of evidence and bright lights. My wife was being questioned. Some financial irregularity involving our joint accounts and her secret side business that she never told me about. I was asked questions, fingerprinted, told to stay put. A week later, I was charged. In court, Natalia stood up and declared that the house, the finances, they were mine. I had access, I controlled everything, and I must be behind it. She cried on the stand, told the judge I exploded with rage when I confronted her once over late dinner, shouted, slammed things, that I had a violent temper. Her attorney painted me as the monster behind the scenes. I sat in that cell, numb. Then the sentencing day came. I thought she'd support me. Silence instead. The judge asked if she had anything to say. She voiced how she feared for her life, claimed she had no choice but to turn me in to protect herself and the kids. We didn't have kids, but she lied. The judge looked at her, then looked at me. I could see the verdict in his eyes. After her tear-ridden performance, the judge handed me a harsh sentence. I was sent to jail pending sentencing. And while I sat in that cell, she walked out of court with a free pass, and the next week she emptied our joint accounts. She transferred funds overseas. She sold the truck I bought. She sold the summer cabin we had rented. And she did it with my name on the documents, because legally I had been implicated and frozen out. She thought she'd struck it rich. Inside that cell, I couldn't sleep. My mind raced. Then I remembered the hidden camera we'd installed in our garage back in Naperville, for when she kept saying the garage door opened by itself, "Maybe raccoons," she joked. I had installed a cheap wireless camera just to monitor the door. I thought it redundant. But now in that cell I realized, if that camera captured everything, maybe it captured her. My lawyer, Marcus Chen, finally met me in a dim visitation booth. I slid the thumb drive across the table. He looked at me, then at the footage. His eyes got wide. "This is stronger than I expected," he said softly. He knew what it meant. The footage showed Natalia walked into my workshop, taking cash from hiding spots, logging into the joint account from her phone late at night, transferring money while pretending the house alarm set off. It showed her miming fear when I confronted her, phone in hand, camera watching. I leaned forward in the cold, metal chair, voice low. "This is what turns the tables," I told him. "When the judge sees this, we flip the script." But I didn't know how Natalia would respond. I didn't know how high she would go. I didn't know whether she would slip up again, or whether she already had pulled off her biggest move. So here's where you come in. If you've ever been betrayed by someone you trusted, drop a comment with your city. And if you're still fighting for redemption, hit like and subscribe. Are you ready to see the next blow-for-blow turn when I take back control? I'll tell you, but only if you say you're ready. So now I'm in motion. The judge watched the footage. The lawyers started digging into Natalia's shell companies. Friends and co-workers of hers came forward. I watched as she grew frantic. But that's where I'll pick up next. When you're ready, say next, and I'll continue the story, with the conflict across the next few weeks, the twists you won't see coming, and how the vault of secrets opens. Remember, real revenge is patient, smart, and quiet till it strikes. Marcus, my lawyer, didn't even wait for a new court date. The footage was enough to file a formal motion to vacate my charges based on new evidence. He knew the judge personally, and within 48 hours, we had an emergency hearing. I was escorted back into the same courtroom, this time with a different energy in the air. I wasn't in chains this time. I was in a suit. And for the first time, Natalia wasn't sitting up front with crocodile tears. She wasn't even in the room. Marcus stood up and played the garage camera footage on the courtroom projector. The timestamp showed her alone in the garage, digging through boxes marked tools and Christmas, pulling out cash, and stuffing it into her bag. Then another clip showed her sitting in my car after midnight, logging into our online banking with her phone. She transferred 10 grand in less than 3 minutes. Then came the real killer. A voice recording auto-enabled on the camera captured her talking to someone on the phone, saying, "He's too stupid to figure it out. He still thinks I'm scared of him. By the time he even sees court, I'll be in Mexico." The courtroom was silent. The judge asked Marcus where the recording came from. Marcus explained the garage cam had an internal mic, auto-activated by movement. I sat there, stone-faced, watching my freedom claw its way back. 10 minutes later, the judge ordered the charges dropped and my record cleared. But that wasn't enough for me. I wanted her caught. I wanted her exposed. I wanted every dollar back. I wanted every smug look she gave me during trial to disappear in a cloud of regret. I wanted to watch her explain how she lied under oath. I wanted the people who believed her, the prosecutor, her fake crying friends, even our nosy neighbors, to see the truth. First, Marcus contacted a private investigator named Dana Heitwer, a specialist in financial tracing who used to work for the IRS. We handed her everything. Natalia's phone logs, the shell companies Marcus uncovered, even her flight history. Within days, Dana tracked Natalia's debit card to Palm Desert, California, where she had rented a long-term Airbnb under her cousin's name. And she wasn't alone. She had a new boyfriend, a personal trainer named Troy. I remembered him. He was the guy she hired to help her lose weight for her birthday cruise. Turns out the training sessions weren't about fitness. I gave Marcus the green light. We filed civil charges for fraud, perjury, and financial damages. But I still didn't feel satisfied, so I took matters into my own hands. See, Natalia loved attention. And she'd built a fake life on social media under a new name, Natalie Rivers. She'd started an Instagram account pretending to be a self-made mindset coach for women. She claimed she'd survived a narcissist, me, obviously, and rebuilt her life from nothing. I created an anonymous TikTok account called At Justice Garage Footage. I uploaded clips from the hidden camera footage, the audio of her saying I was too stupid, screenshots of her bank transfers, the court documents proving she filed false testimony. The video went viral in under 36 hours. Comments flooded in. "She's a psycho. OMG, this is next-level fraud. Get your bag, king. Press charges." Even her new followers started turning on her. She made a desperate video claiming it was deep-faked. But then someone found her Airbnb listing. Someone else posted a video of her walking into a Whole Foods in Palm Desert wearing the same shirt from the footage. She deleted her Instagram by day 4. Marcus called me and said, "She's about to run." And she did. Dana tracked her credit card again, this time in El Paso, Texas, buying a last-minute bus ticket. But she wasn't heading south like we thought. She was heading east, trying to disappear, so I made a choice. I got on a plane and met Dana in Nashville, Tennessee, where Natalia had just checked into a rundown extended-stay motel using a fake ID. That's when we made our move. But I'll save that part for what comes next. Say next when you're ready for the real takedown, because I wasn't done watching her squirm. By the time I landed in Nashville, Dana had already done the groundwork. She had surveillance on the motel, room 217, corner unit, blinds always drawn. Natalia had checked in under the name Marie Calder, using an ID that looked homemade. Dana said the front desk clerk barely even looked at it, That's how low she'd sunk. We sat in an old rental SUV 2 blocks away, parked behind a shuttered barbecue joint. Dana handed me a tablet with live feed from the tiny cam she'd set up in the hallway vent the night before. It showed Natalia pacing the room on her phone, clearly stressed. She looked nothing like the composed woman who cried on the stand. Hair unwashed, hoodie inside out, bags under her eyes like she hadn't slept in days. She's trying to figure out her next move, Dana said. If she makes it out of state again, we might lose her. I knew we had to act fast, but we couldn't just barge in. We needed her arrested, not scared into running again. So we coordinated with a local contact Dana had, a retired bail bondsman named Kurt Mendez, who still had friends in Metro PD. Marcus called the DA's office back in Illinois to issue a warrant for interstate fraud. It wasn't hard to convince them after the TikTok video blew up. Public pressure was mounting. They couldn't ignore it anymore. Within hours, we had a team of officers on standby. Kurt arranged for them to move in quietly. We watched from the SUV as a cruiser pulled into the motel lot around 2:15 p.m. Two plainclothes officers stepped out, knocked on room 217, and announced themselves. Natalia didn't open the door. We watched as the officers knocked again, harder this time. Then she made a break for it. The hallway camera caught it all, her throwing open the bathroom window, one leg out, backpack slung over her shoulder. But she didn't make it far. As soon as she hit the pavement out back, another 2 officers cuffed her. One of them read her rights while she screamed about being set up, yelling, "I was the victim, he abused me, this is illegal." Didn't matter. The moment was pure. I watched her get hauled into the back of the cruiser like she hadn't just tried to ruin my life. She kept looking around like someone would believe her, like someone might swoop in and defend her. But no one did. Because her story was over. But mine was just beginning. We flew her back to Illinois under armed escort. She was booked in Cook County Jail while awaiting trial. Marcus made sure the media knew everything. The TikTok video, the fake companies, the perjury, the accounts in Belize. And it didn't stop there. Turns out Natalia had pulled a similar stunt before. A man named Darius Colton came forward. He lived in Tucson, Arizona, and said Natalia had pretended to be his girlfriend years ago, drained his accounts, and disappeared. He never had proof. Until now. The footage we found in my garage matched a pattern Darius recognized instantly. So now we had 2 victims. The prosecutors were salivating. Natalia was slapped with 9 felony charges, including wire fraud, identity theft, and perjury. Her public defender tried to negotiate a plea deal. But the DA wasn't having it. Not with 2 victims and a viral trail of evidence that made the entire internet want her behind bars. I showed up to her arraignment. She wouldn't even look at me. The judge denied her bail, citing her obvious flight risk and history of deception. And you'd think that'd be the end, right? But something still bugged me. See, during the investigation, Dana found out Natalia hadn't just stolen money, she'd also taken out a secret life insurance policy on me. $500,000. Signed electronically using a forged signature and backdated medical records. That meant at some point, she considered more than just framing me. She considered erasing me completely. That's when it hit me, I hadn't just been robbed, I'd been targeted. And if I hadn't remembered that garage camera, I might have stayed in prison or worse. So I went deeper. I started pulling everything. Her old email accounts. The fake consulting clients. I worked with Dana and Marcus to open every door she thought was locked, and we found something that changed everything. An encrypted folder on one of her burner laptops. Labeled Plan B Kyle. Inside were documents, photos, transcripts. She wasn't working alone. There was someone else, and he wasn't just helping her. He'd been planning something worse. I stared at the screen for a long time. The folder marked Plan B Kyle wasn't just some side scam. It was a full-blown operation. The kind of thing you expect from people on the run from the FBI, not a woman who used to spend her weekends organizing brunches and posting latte art. Dana decrypted most of it in under an hour. Inside were scanned passports, fake IDs, wire transfer records, voice memos, and one long, detailed document that made my blood run cold. It was a full plan to pin a second crime on me, worse than fraud, something violent, something that could have kept me behind bars for decades. The plan was clear. If the financial fraud didn't hold up in court, She would accuse me of domestic abuse, stage injuries, fabricate texts, and use the sympathy angle to destroy whatever was left of my reputation. The document even had timestamps for when she was supposed to leak certain fake evidence to a local blogger. She'd written fake text messages from me to her burner phone, messages where I sounded threatening, unhinged. There were screenshots she saved in a folder called Court Bombs. But it was the name Kyle that made everything worse. I knew him, Kyle Langdon. He was my coworker at the manufacturing plant in Aurora. Quiet guy. We weren't close, but we'd had beers a few times after work. Natalia had met him at one of our company holiday parties 2 years ago. I didn't think much of it. He was friendly, respectful. Now I knew better. There were voice memos of Kyle and Natalia planning everything. One of them had Kyle saying, "Once he's gone, it's clean. Nobody will question it. They'll eat it up." Another clip had Natalia laughing. "The dumbest thing he ever did was marry me." I felt sick. Dana traced several payments from Natalia's Shell accounts directly into Kyle's Venmo and Cash App accounts, labeled as consulting. He was helping her fake legal documents, forge emails, and even coaching her on what to say in court. Kyle had experience. He used to work in it and had a side hustle fabricating identity docs for under-the-table clients. He wasn't just helping her. He was invested. We brought everything to Marcus. He immediately contacted state prosecutors. With this new evidence, the scope of Natalia's case expanded, and now Kyle was being dragged into it too. But I wasn't content waiting for the courts to do their thing. I wanted to confront him, so I went back to Aurora, to the plant where we both used to work. Kyle was still employed, at least until this all caught up with him. I waited in the parking lot in my car and watched him exit the side door during his smoke break. I approached him slow, hands out, calm voice. He froze the moment he saw me. "You know why I'm here, Kyle." His cigarette dropped to the gravel. I don't know what you're talking about, man." I held up my phone, hit play. It was the voice memo of him talking about cleaning things up once I was in jail. His eyes widened. "You got that from her? She gave it to you?" "No," I said. "She recorded it and forgot she stored it on a laptop. That's now with my lawyer and the state prosecutor." He turned pale. "Look, I didn't think she was gonna actually go through with it," he said. "She said you were abusive. I thought you helped her forge evidence. You helped her plan a felony. You helped her frame me, Kyle. That's not just bad judgment, that's a crime." I didn't hit him, I didn't scream. I just watched him squirm like a rat when the trap closes. I walked away knowing one thing. It was only a matter of time. And I was right. By the end of the week, Kyle was arrested at work, handcuffed right there on the factory floor. Turns out the prosecutors had moved faster than expected. Between his voice on those recordings, the forged payments, and Natalia's digital footprint linking everything, the case was sealed tight. Natalia was officially charged with conspiracy, attempted fraud, and identity theft. Kyle was charged with aiding and abetting, obstruction, and digital forgery. They both pleaded not guilty. But it didn't matter. The trial was set for 6 months later, and I made sure everyone, every friend, every coworker, every neighbor who looked at me sideways, knew exactly what happened. I did interviews, I told my story. People started calling it the garage tape case. And believe it or not, the TikTok channel I made, it hit over 3 million followers. People wanted updates. They wanted to see justice. They wanted the same thing I wanted, a public reckoning. But right when I thought it was over, another twist hit me in the gut. Someone sent me a message through the TikTok account. No profile picture, just a burner. The message read, "Natalia wasn't working alone. Check the Belize account. Not all of it went to Kyle." Then they sent a name I hadn't seen before, a name that tied back to me. I stared at the burner message for a full minute. Check the Belize account. Not all of it went to Kyle. Name, Amanda Calloway. I hadn't heard that name in over a decade. Back when I lived in Lincoln, Nebraska, I dated Amanda for almost a year. She was wild, spontaneous, full of energy, the kind of person who could talk anyone into anything. But it ended badly. She lied constantly, stole from her own roommates. When I caught her using my card to buy concert tickets for some other guy, I broke it off. Last I heard, she'd moved to the West Coast. So why was her name tied to Natalia's offshore account? I sent the name to Dana. She ran it through every database she had access to, old addresses, aliases, tax records, social media burners. Within hours, she confirmed it. Amanda Calloway was living in Tacoma, Washington, and she had received two separate wire transfers totaling over $68,000 from the same shell company Natalia had used to stash the stolen funds. I tried to connect the dots. Then I remembered. 3 years ago, when Natalia and I were still living in Naperville, she went to a women's wellness retreat in Oregon. She came back energized, spiritual, suddenly into crystals and vision boards. I thought it was just a phase. She kept talking about a woman named Mandy, who led a seminar on emotional reprogramming. Mandy, Amanda. It hit me like a freight train. Amanda had been part of Natalia's life this entire time, and I had no idea. They met at that retreat, stayed in touch, and slowly Amanda, who already knew how to scam people, started feeding Natalia ideas, fake injuries, digital forgeries, victim narratives. They built this plan together. I told Marcus. I told Dana, and they told the prosecutors. Within a week, the investigation into Amanda Calloway was formalized. The feds traced her phone logs, her financial activity, and her connection to Natalia and Kyle. Amanda had acted as the cleaner. When Natalia needed documents scrubbed, accounts masked, or identities created, Amanda handled it. She kept her hands clean, but the paper trail was all there. But Amanda was smart, too smart to sit still. Before anyone could serve her, she disappeared. By the time federal marshals got to her Tacoma address, she was gone, left behind a half-eaten sandwich and a suitcase filled with burner phones. So now we had a fugitive on the run, and the case that had started with my arrest had exploded into a national manhunt. I decided to go public again. TikTok, YouTube, interviews with local news. I exposed Amanda Calloway, and the story went nuclear. People online started digging. One Redditor found Amanda's LinkedIn from 2017 under the alias Amy C. Another discovered she had rented a car 2 days before the marshals came, one that hadn't been returned. And another user in Boise, Idaho, swore she saw Amanda working at a juice bar under the name Leela. It became a digital manhunt. Meanwhile, Natalia was still in jail. Kyle had folded under pressure and took a plea deal 10 years with possibility of parole if he testified against her and Amanda. That's when Marcus got the call. Amanda had been caught in Albuquerque, New Mexico, working as a spiritual therapist out of a strip mall yoga studio. She was arrested at 3:12 p.m. on a Thursday, and she did not go quietly. Screaming, crying, accused the arresting officer of ruining a divine path, said the universe would punish them. Classic Amanda. She was extradited to Illinois within 2 weeks, and just like that, the trifecta was complete. Natalia, Kyle, Amanda, all of them locked down. But here's what nobody knew, not even Marcus. I had one last move. During discovery, we found a safety deposit box Natalia had kept hidden. Inside it, a contract. A prenup I never signed, forged with my initials. It was her way of trying to keep every dollar even after she destroyed me. And she almost got away with it. But the real kicker, a journal, Natalia's personal journal. In her handwriting, full of every detail of the scam, timelines, goals, even names of future targets. Amanda was planning to use Natalia as a template to coach other women through similar cons. They had planned to turn it into a business. A network of fake victims for profit. I handed the journal to Marcus. He stared at it for a long time and said, "We're not just winning this case, we're ending them." The prosecutors introduced the journal as Exhibit A. The jury took less than 4 hours. Guilty on all counts. Natalia, 27 years. Kyle, 10 years with time served. Amanda, 18 years for conspiracy, identity theft, and financial crimes. And me, I got my name back. I got full restitution, plus damages. And I walked out of that courthouse with a clean record, a clear mind, and a following of people who knew never to take things at face value again. Revenge doesn't always come loud. Sometimes it comes through a grainy garage cam you forgot you installed. And sometimes it comes with a front row seat to watch your enemies eat each other alive. That's the end of my story. But let me ask you something. If you had a camera on someone right now, what truth would you want it to catch? Let me know in the comments. And never forget, justice isn't about screaming louder. It's about playing the long game and hitting where it hurts.